Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're tackling a big one, the history between Russia and Ukraine and what exactly triggered the ongoing war. This is a story that goes back centuries, filled with periods of connection, conflict, and ultimately, immense tragedy. To understand the current situation, we need to rewind. Both Russia and Ukraine trace their origins back to the medieval state of Kievan Rus, a powerful entity that existed from the 9th to the 13th centuries. Think of it as a common ancestor. Kiev, the capital of modern-day Ukraine, was its heart. Over time, this entity fragmented and different regional identities began to emerge. The territories that make up modern Ukraine were influenced by various powers, including Lithuania, Poland, Austria-Hungary, and the Russian Empire. Fast forward to the centuries under the Russian Empire. Much of Ukraine was gradually absorbed, and Ukrainian language and culture often faced suppression. Despite this, a distinct Ukrainian national identity persisted and grew. The 20th century brought even more upheaval. After the Russian Revolution, Ukraine briefly gained independence, but it was short-lived. By the 1920s, Ukraine was largely divided between Soviet Ukraine and parts of Poland. Soviet Ukraine experienced immense suffering under Stalin, including the devastating Holodomor famine in the 1930s, which many Ukrainians consider a genocide. During World War II, Ukraine was a major battleground, suffering immense destruction and loss of life. After the war, all of Ukraine was incorporated into the Soviet Union. While it had its own Soviet republic, it was firmly under Moscow's control. The late 1980s saw the weakening of the Soviet Union and a resurgence of Ukrainian nationalism. In 1991, following the collapse of the USSR, Ukraine declared its independence in a referendum overwhelmingly supported by the Ukrainian people. Russia initially recognized this independence. However, the relationship in the post-Soviet era was far from smooth. Several key issues caused friction. NATO expansion. The eastward expansion of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a military alliance formed to counter the Soviet Union, was viewed by Russia as a threat to its security interests. Ukraine's aspirations to one day join NATO became a major point of contention. The Black Sea Fleet and Crimea. Crimea, a peninsula with a majority Russian population, was transferred to Ukraine by the Soviet Union in 1954. Russia maintained its Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol, a major strategic asset, under a lease agreement with Ukraine. The status of Crimea and the fleet remained a sensitive issue. Political divisions within Ukraine. Ukraine experienced internal political divisions, with some leaning towards closer ties with Russia and others prioritizing integration with the West. This was often reflected in electoral outcomes and public opinion. Russia's sphere of influence. Russia consistently viewed the former Soviet republics, including Ukraine, as being within its sphere of influence and was wary of any moves that it perceived as pulling these countries towards the West. What triggered the recent war? The current full-scale war didn't erupt out of nowhere. Several key events in the years leading up to it significantly escalated tensions. The 2004 Orange Revolution. Protests erupted in Ukraine following a disputed presidential election, leading to a rerun and the victory of Viktor Yushchenko, who favored closer ties with the West. Russia viewed this as Western interference in its sphere of influence. The 2014 Maidan Revolution. Mass protests, sparked by then-President Viktor Yanukovych's decision to reject an association agreement with the European Union in favor of closer ties with Russia, led to his ouster. Russia saw this as a Western-backed coup. The annexation of Crimea, 2014, following the Maidan Revolution, Russia swiftly moved to annex Crimea, citing the need to protect the rights of Russian speakers. This was widely condemned internationally as a violation of Ukraine's sovereignty and international law. The war in Donbass, 2014 to 2022, shortly after the annexation of Crimea, a conflict erupted in eastern Ukraine's Donbass region, where Russian-backed separatists declared independence. Russia provided military, economic, and political support to these separatist entities. Despite numerous ceasefire agreements, The conflict continued for 8 years. In the months leading up to the February 2022 invasion, Russia amassed a large military force along Ukraine's borders. Despite repeated warnings from Western countries about the potential for an invasion, Russia denied any such intentions. On February 24, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, citing a number of justifications, including the alleged demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, the protection of Russian speakers, and the prevention of Ukraine from joining NATO. These justifications have been widely rejected by Ukraine and the international community. The war has resulted in a catastrophic humanitarian crisis, with millions of Ukrainians displaced and thousands of civilian casualties. It has also had significant global economic and geopolitical consequences. Understanding the long and complex history between Russia and Ukraine is crucial to grasping the roots of this conflict. It's a story of intertwined identities, historical grievances, geopolitical competition, and ultimately, a tragic violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. Thanks for watching. If you found this explanation helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments what topics you'd like me to cover next.